Good morning. It's Councillor Glen, and I'm on Joseph Circle. You got to check out some of this stuff here. Look, there's some skeletons in the car here, a whole bunch of zombies and monsters, and a massive skeleton on the front yard. This is great. It's Halloween weekend. It's October 30th. Good morning to everyone watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, listening on your favorite podcast platform. What a great weekend to go out and explore your community. There are a number of streets that have some pretty elaborate setups like this one. I was just talking with Jennifer, who lives here. They've recently moved to the neighborhood here on Joseph Circle from Victoria, and they actually have more stuff that they weren't able to move with them, but they were pretty excited to get this up and going. There's another house around the corner on Joseph Circle that has a pretty elaborate display, lots of moving pieces and creepy crawlies. And across the street, there's a little graveyard set up as well. So get out this weekend and explore your neighborhood. Even if you don't have young trick-or-treaters with you, there's a lot of people in our community who've gone really above and beyond this year. So thank you to all of you who have decorated your homes and made this a special Halloween. With the soundtrack of the zombies behind me, I'll give you some updates about what's happening in our community at City Hall. I'll start with COVID-19. First of all, as of Monday, I think you saw the province has allowed for some increased capacity at restaurants and gyms and other locations. The City of Ottawa's rec centers have fallen suit. So for drop-in programs, we are increasing the capacity limits as well, which is great. There's a lot of attention this week on the Ottawa Police decision to not require mandatory vaccination. As of yesterday, they have flipped that decision, so police officers will be required to be vaccinated. The deadline, though, isn't until January, which I think is still a bit too far, but at least it's a start that they've updated that policy. Every other organization in the City of Ottawa, all city staff, all councillors, paramedics and fire have to have mandatory vaccines now, basically. So I'm glad that the police have followed suit there. On Monday, I've got a Board of Health meeting, and we're going to be getting an update on the Board of Health's plan to vaccinate kids between 5 and 11. We are waiting for the province and the federal government to approve the vaccine for kids and give us the green light to roll that out. But we're going to be getting an update on Monday on what exactly that'll look like. Ottawa Public Health will likely be using community clinics. We'll have pharmacies and doctors as well. And of course, flu shots are now available at your local pharmacy or your doctor, and local community clinics are doing flu shots as well, which is good. Some local updates. We got some news citywide about new locations for crossing guards. I think they're adding about 15 or 20 crossing guards to the community. There's 2 new ones in Stittsville. One of them is at St. Stephen's School. One of them is in front of Westwind at at Hartsmere and Arrowwood, so that's good. Had a few questions about how parents could request crossing guards at their school. Call 311 or email my office so we can put in a request. The city will go out and do a count of traffic and a count of the number of people crossing the street, and if it qualifies, we can get a crossing guard in a future year, which is good. In other traffic news, the advance green, if you're heading on Hazeldean and turning onto Carp Road, the advance green, which was formerly just in the morning, is now running all day long and in the afternoon rush hour. So that's good, the advance arrow there. We had a new development application this week at 1037 Carp Road. That's just a little bit north of the Carp and Hazeldean intersection. There's a proposal for a small office building right there, so you can find some information soon on my website. And not quite local, but I think relevant, OSTA and EnviroCenter have launched a new app called HOP, H-O-P, and it's an app designed to encourage and promote walking to school. So if you're a parent and you've got kids, check out HOP. You can get more information on the EnviroCenter website and the OSTA, the Ottawa Student Transportation Authority website. I think I got that right. Good idea, good initiative to educate and promote safe walking to school. On a city level, I think I'll start with the LRT. We did get an update this week. They've started testing trains. So if you're near the tracks this weekend, you might see some trains running up and down. They are testing the trains and the track repairs, which is good. We're still waiting for an update on a safety evaluation, but we believe there'll at least be some trains launched by the middle of November. this should be allow for service of about every 7 or 8 minutes, and then they'll be adding more trains. Rideau Transit Group has told the City of Ottawa that they believe they can get a full fleet up by about December. City says realistically the full fleet is more likely in mid-December. So we'll be getting some more updates this week, and I'll pass them along. The biggest thing at City Hall this week was City Council. Excuse me. We approved the city's new official plan. This is the biggest piece of policy and planning that we've done in the city for well over a decade. And it's a document that's going to guide how the city grows over the next 25 years. So we approved it as a council, and now it goes to the Provincial Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs for approval there. So it's not in effect yet, but as over the next 25 years, we're going to see the city grow from about 1 million people today to at least 1.4 million in the future. And it sets us in the right direction for making some really important changes. So we're going to see strategies to make sure that more people are taking transit or walking or cycling across our whole city than by car, which means investments in transit, not only trains, but buses as well, local buses and crosstown routes. We're going to see a lot more, it's called intensification versus expansion. So we want to see less of building our city further and further out into the suburbs, and more about having more people living within the city limits now. As part of that, you will see more development, as we've been seeing the last few years, around transit stations and future transit stations, and also along major corridors like Hazeldean Road eventually in the longer term, but also Merivale Road, Carling Avenue, Baseline. And those are some of the areas where we're going to need a lot more investment in transit as well. And we've also really updated the way that we're going to consider things like climate change, like public health and equity. So social equity, racial equity, gender equity, and how we plan our city in the future. I think there's 3 areas that we really need to focus in on. One is, how are we going to pay for the transportation infrastructure? I'm sure most of you watching here in Stittsville recognize that we are far behind on a lot of the transportation projects like Robert Grant Avenue, like Carp Road, even Fernbank. How do we get caught up on that? I think we're going to need to rely more than just on development charges, perhaps borrowing some money, perhaps really putting a push on other levels of government to help fund those. But other amenities too. It's not just transportation. It's parks, it's community centers, it's recreation centers. Also a lot of things that are outside of our control. Schools, for example, that's provincial, not city, but we need more local schools to support the growth. And then retail, commercial, employment. These are all things that the city can't control directly, but that we can influence. So we need to do a better job at getting more services as close as possible to where people live. The other 2 things I think we're really going to need to work on is the local planning, making sure that residents really do have a say in the specific plans for their neighborhoods. The official plan is a very broad, overarching strategy. The next step is in implementing the zoning that stems from that. So we heard a lot from delegations over our deliberation days just about the importance of local planning to that whole process, and local residents and stakeholders in that planning process. And the third, and maybe the most important, is about our housing crisis, our affordability crisis, whether that's dealt with through social housing, through private investment, whether we're talking about affordability for people in lower incomes in our community, or even for young adults who might be buying a first home or trying to rent a first home, or for older adults who are looking for a place to stay within the community and really aren't seeing the options right now, the affordable options to do that. There's a lot of different ways you can look at or consider the housing crisis, but it's I think should be the #1 concern of our city in the near future and for years to come. So that's the official plan, and I'm going to try to write a little bit, write some of these thoughts down in my blog and flesh them out a little bit for you. Okay, I'll tell you about some things coming up today and over the next few days. First of all, the Stittsville Land Keepers, this is a new group. They are doing a series of events today at the Kemp Woodlands, right next to Sacred Heart High School. So they're doing a community cleanup, they're doing a guided walk, they're doing a scavenger hunt, and they're doing a seed exchange. And if you Google or search on Facebook for Stittsville Land Keepers, you will see the information about that event today. Halloween is, of course, tomorrow. With my team, we're going to be handing out some Halloween treats at Village Square Park the train park at Stittsville, Maine and Abbott from 4:30 to 6 p.m. So I hope you can drop by and say hello. I got to work on my costume today. I saw that the firefighters at Station 81, our volunteer firefighters, are handing out treats on Halloween from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is great. We've got the Stittsville Pumpkin Parade at Village Square Park on November 1st, starting at 7 p.m. We're also doing a costume contest. My team's doing a costume contest. If you've got a super creative costume, please send us an email with a photo at glen.gower@ottawa.ca or tag me on Instagram at Councillor Glen. We've got some prizes from local businesses for the best costumes. This afternoon, I'm heading out to Cocomuts. They have a grand reopening at their new location on Stittsville, Maine, kind of Stittsville, Maine and Carp, near where the Scotiabank is. So I'm looking forward to meeting the staff there and saying congratulations on their new opening. Dropping by to see some ringette players this afternoon at Cardell Rec. Western Ottawa Community Resource Centre is looking for volunteers. They're starting to transition out of pandemic mode and have a shortage of volunteers. So if you'd like more information, search for WOCRC, Western Ottawa Community Resource Centre, on Facebook. The Kiwanis Club of Stittsville and Canada is hosting a virtual trivia night fundraiser next Saturday evening. So encourage you to, if you know your facts, know your stuff, it's a great fundraiser to participate in. Search for Kiwanis Canada Stittsville on Facebook or Google, and I'm sure you'll find the information there. I think I'll wrap it up there. I forgot last week to say a welcome to Isabel, who's joined my team as a traffic specialist. She is working with us to help address some of the traffic issues in our community, speeding or stop sign or traffic cameras or parking issues. So if you contact our office about those kinds of things, you'll probably be talking to Isabel too soon. So Isabel, we're thrilled to have you on board. And thanks to my entire team. We've had a busy few weeks, and they've been really working hard to help residents in our community. All right, I'll wrap it up there. Happy Halloween. Come check out Joseph Circle or many of the other streets in our community with some of these elaborate Halloween displays. Be safe out there. Have a great weekend. Take care.